I know this is a weird way to start the video, but I'm not a huge Five Nights at Freddy's fan. However, I'm a big fan of Security Breach. I personally think it's a great game, not in terms of depth or story, but it's really fun. I don't really like the gameplay of the original games, and I'm not really into horror stuff in general. There are horror games which I really like Dread Out. Don't play the sequel. Fears of Fathom or A Dead of Night, but the genre itself rarely catches me. Compared to the first Five Nights at Freddy's games, Security Breach was completely different. You're playing a little boy named Gregory who's trapped in this gigantic pizzaplex with many different areas. It's much more like your usual third-person horror game, but without the horror part. I don't get easily scared in general, but Security Breach's whole look just doesn't scare me. And that's fine, I honestly love the look of the game. It's a rather nice cartoony style. I think all of the animatronics look great and I enjoy looking at the surroundings when running through the pizzaplex. Speaking of running, the movement feels really good. It's nothing special, but back controls can easily mess up your experience, which is not the case for this game. The levels are also extremely well designed and feel satisfying to do one after another. I even started speedrunning the game just for fun because I like the flow the game has. You know what else the game has? Glitches and bad AI, but not in an annoying way. It's quite the opposite. There are tons of small glitches like accidentally getting through walls and look at how the game was built, or stunning the enemy when you're actually dead and still saving yourself. This is my favorite part of the game, for example. You're in a huge arcade with a turned off DJ animatronic. In the arcade you'll encounter Monty and Chica while trying to get up to the control center. Once you reach it, a power outage will occur and you'll have to activate a lever at the beginning of the arcade, right next to the DJ. The moment you pull it, the DJ will disappear and the super sick song starts playing, which will change depending on your progress. From that point on you need to pull 4 different levers in the arcade while the giant DJ will chase you. You're basically running back and forth, but the first time you're running up you need to carefully sneak around the animatronics to even learn how this place looks. When you go back you already know the way and where the enemies are, but you gotta do the whole thing backwards. When you're running back up for the second time you're actively being chased and need to look for levers which you probably never noticed before. All while listening to this great song. I mean, and at the very end you have a nice little encounter with the DJ in the final chase. It's a nice little gameplay loop and that's all there is to the arcade. The different rooms in Security Breach all feel very different gameplay wise and it never gets stale for me because of that. It's definitely not a hard or a challenging game, but it's really fun. I mean, look at this.
You can't hide forever.
So I was really looking forward to the DLC. It was free and honestly I was happy about any kind of new content. Sadly, I didn't get around to play it at release, but around New Year I finally got a chance to. And wow, I really need to talk about this. The Ruin DLC takes place after the main game, most likely after the true ending, and in this ending Gregory escapes the pizzaplex with Freddy and the whole place basically burnt down. The DLC then starts with a completely new character named Cassie. She's a friend of Gregory and got a message from him that he's trapped in a pizzaplex. So right from the start I have a few questions. First question. When exactly does this take place? It's obvious that the person asking for help is not the real Gregory, but look at the pizzaplex. I know there was a fire, but the fire didn't put millions and gigantic newspaper pages all over the front glass. I also doubt that the fire sprayed graffiti all over the walls either, but what do I know? So this DLC has to take place at least, and I'm being very generous here, a week after the main game. And you're telling me that Gregory and Cassie didn't have any contact during that time? Didn't he tell her what happened and that he would never step another foot into this place? Doesn't Gregory have a home to go back to which Cassie could visit to check on him instead of instantly climbing into the burned complex? Well, apparently Gregory doesn't have a home because in the main game he has no registered family and we don't even know what he is. So how does this homeless boy even become friends with Cassie? What is that setting? That was, by the way, the second question. Maybe there's an explanation in some of the books or Help Wanted 2 which came out after, but if I only play Security Breach I have no idea. I know the FNAF fandom is really into the lore of these games and you're probably already typing to correct me, but hear me out. You probably know way more about the FNAF story. But do you know who the houseboat originally belonged to? In which episode the actor of Kretze first appeared? Did you notice that Amelie's actress had a role as a background character during the Kim era? Five Nights at Freddy's? More like Day and Night of Peggy. No matter how many books you've read and games you've played, you can't challenge my knowledge of over 2000 episodes of a German daily soap. But feel free to correct me. Just keep in mind that I will mostly criticize the DLC for level and game design, and even if everything I say about the story is wrong, it won't ultimately affect my opinion of the content. So just lean back and enjoy yourself. Not like me, who actually played this a second time for the recording and just noticed how much slower Cassie is compared to Gregory. Fuck me. So we're running slowly through the ruined Pizzaplex and can look at the several graffiti styles. After only a few minutes we can encounter a walkie-talkie which we will use to talk to Gregory. Unlike the main game, the DLC doesn't let me skip cutscenes. You might think this is not a big deal when you're only playing the game once anyway, but no. Besides the fact that I softlocked myself the first time playing this and had to replay chapter 1 with all these scenes, they all horribly stopped the gameplay flow. I can't think of a single cutscene in Security Breach that felt worthless and annoying. Most of them were used as transitions for boss fights or locations. Every other mission update or story moment was handled through communication with Freddy while you were still able to keep moving. The Ruin DLC basically does the opposite. For every minor thing happening in the game you will get some kind of cutscene that just locks you into place. I can't move around or even look around once I reach the walkie-talkie. I have to stay in place and listen to Gregory. I know they don't want me to enter the elevator shaft during their talk, but why can't they place this thing at the very beginning and then let me walk? Is it because the flashlight is too close? The most pointless item in this DLC anyway, which suddenly has infinite energy? The only reason this flashlight exists is because of the game's genre, and you will soon see what I mean. Anyway, so after the dragging Gregory scene I can finally enter the elevator shaft and climb. Yeah. After that we will find a new tool, a Faz wrench. The tool to do probably the most boring puzzle mechanic I've ever seen. You point your switch to a cable and it charges. Once you point somewhere else, the cable's energy decreases. The puzzle is solved when the energy stays in all the blue areas at the same time. That's it. This is followed by two super cheap jump scares before we actually see the title of the game. But this is not the end of chapter 1. I softlocked myself in the next part, and when I had to restart chapter 1 it seriously started here. But I'm done with the beginning because coming up next is my new favorite part to talk about.
Free mask. Please take a mask. Take a mask. Take a mask. Thank you. Please enjoy.
Weird. It's not a Bonnie mask. Look at all the wires and stuff.
Okay, so that just happened. We get Vanny's mask, which is actually just a casual security mask, since Vanny is not a word combination of Vanessa and Bunny, but an acronym for Virtual Augmented Neural Network Integration. When we put on the mask, we enter an augmented world and... Why am I even doing this? When we put on the mask, we enter an augmented world, and I'd love to have an explanation for the following things. There are certain objects in the real world that block my way like a huge box, but when I put the mask on, I can magically walk through it? The fuck? What happens to me when I put that thing on? I do exist in the real world, so how can my body do that? Besides me thinking that magic stuff like that usually has no place in FNAF. God, please let me be right. There's also proof that Cassie still physically exists with the mask on. Because when you touch the animatronics in the AR world, I take the mask off and then get killed. But let's not get lost in the story or explanations for certain things. I have no idea how I reach page 4 in the script and still be at the beginning of the game. So with the mask we can enter the AR world and move through certain objects. In this world we can see things that we can't see in the real world. These are indicated by glitchy effects, and there's our next problem. At the very moment you get the Vanny mask, you have literally no reason to not wear it. You can just put it on and see your surroundings way better than before. But wait, there are walls in the AR world which you can't pass! Ha! Never mind, I can't wear it all the time. The developers were 2 steps ahead of. Oh. What's the point? Oh no, I need to take off the mask to walk 1 step and can immediately put it back on. Why? Did they think people wouldn't try that because the Monty encounter was coming up? What is that wall? The Monty encounter is, by the way, a joke in general. You sometimes get the security cameras and the ability to play your voice to certain areas to lure the animatronics away. To clear the way, of course. But you can just walk through the first area without ever seeing Monty. I don't think I saw a single animatronic actually running in this DLC. They just follow you slowly. Unless you wear the mask, then they just walk slowly and don't even notice you. So you will either run by Monty with your mask on or without. Why not disable it to at least give me the illusion that I'm in danger? There are areas like that in the game, but whenever I can wear the mask, I'm safe. Or am I? Okay, hear me out. There's something that is probably supposed to prevent you from using your mask too much. Because if you wear it for too long, this will happen. Yeah. Is this glitch trap? I'm just going to call it glitch trap, please bear with me. Whenever I wear the mask for too long, glitch trap will spawn. If he's present for too long, a grid will manifest in your UI, and I think that's something like a marker for the animatronics, because only then they will actually follow you with the mask on. Anyway, if the grid gets too big, an animatronic will spawn on your head and you die. If you're near him for too long, it will get static, and once it's too static, it actually never happened to me. I guess he spawns an animatronic on your head and you die. But what would he do when I just put the mask off, wait like 10 seconds and then put it on again? Right, nothing, because he already despawned at that point. And what is that design? Is anyone actually scared of that? I don't get easily scared, but the weird designs from the main games at least had a really eerie look to them. Even the new designs for the animatronics, who are supposed to be even more fucked up than the last, look less frightening. Monty looks kinda goofy compared to his shattered and broken self before. Chica is close to not being recognizable as Chica, and why is the placenta from Orphan of Kos hanging out of her belly? Roxy certainly has weird eye sockets for plot reason and looks dumb when she was easily the most terrifying in the main game. And Freddy... yeah, no. This is of course just my taste, so don't turn me into main game Roxy. I mean, I'm already turned on, but back to this thing. So I get the developers went for glitchy movement, but it looks so bad. Sometimes it looks like my game is lagging, not the character. Now that I think about it, it's probably the scariest part of the DLC. Right before you can trigger glitch trap for the first time, you will find one of many floating bunny heads in the AR world. These are connected through wires to certain objects. You need to deactivate those objects to activate the bunny head and unlock another puzzle. Unlike the first puzzle mechanic, this one is not boring at all, because this one is done so quick that it's impossible to get bored of it. And if you're sad about finishing a fun puzzle way too quick, don't worry, the same patterns appear multiple times. You know what the worst part of the puzzle is? The mechanic itself could have been cool. Imagine this puzzle with an actual hard pattern. Maybe the symbols work in a rock, paper, scissors way so that some lines can cross others, just something that needs a little bit of effort. But no, the puzzles don't get harder either, we just get more symbols. So what do we know about the game by now? We have a magic mask to wear that makes everything simpler, and when the downside spawns you can just put it off for a short moment. In the real world you will find the most boring puzzle, and in Hogwarts you will find bunny heads, which will turn into the easiest puzzle. Animatronics don't run after you anymore, they just follow you slowly. Unless you're in the Tron world, then they don't even notice you. If that sounds boring to you so far, then you should never touch this DLC, since that is basically it. The levels are just long hallways in a really boring environment. That is a massive step down from the open design of the main game, but don't get me wrong, you can do that. I'm not sitting here to tell you that everything needs to be open world like, it's quite the opposite. I love good hallway games with only one direction, but they need to be interesting and immersive. The Ruin DLC is neither of those two. You can open a door with the boring puzzle, walk past huge piles of garbage and then deactivate rabbit nodes. The rabbit head will open, you solve the puzzle in 2 seconds and then unlock the second rabbit head to do. Sometimes you even have more of the boring puzzle in one room. And all of that happens with zero pressure because nothing is chasing you. There is no danger. Never. There are a few parts with the endoskeletons, these things that move when you look away from them. They don't matter when you wear the mask. And there are 2 more mechanics I haven't mentioned yet. Prepare yourself. One of them is a monitor. On one camera you can see a lineup of different symbols. These are anomalies. Kind of like this DLC. You can switch around the different cameras and need to find something that looks like an anomaly, but you need to pick them in the correct order. Again, could be fun if I had some kind of input, because some cameras don't have an anomaly symbol, but you're not even looking at them. When you look at a camera with a symbol, you instantly get the prompt of triggering it. Why have empty cameras if you can determine in a split second that they are worthless? I've never felt like a toddler playing a game before this. Not even when I was a toddler playing a game before this. The other mechanic is an addition to the Vanny mask. It's some kind of coil that locks you in or out of your cheat tool until you deactivate it. And that's nice. That makes potentially for some really cool sections, but in reality you can almost all the time walk up to this thing and deactivate it. The best use of this was probably in the convoluted Fazer blast section, where you need to find the rabbit objects in a labyrinth while Glitchtrip actually puts some pressure on you. It's not much, but at this point it's anything at least. The DLC sadly feels like a boring story game without real story, and you need to do the same puzzles over and over again to progress. Nothing happens in this game and it's so frustrating. If you're doing a hallway game, you need some gameplay variety and satisfying story moments to make your progress feel like a reward. I love it when I reach new cutscenes in Kingdom Hearts, but when I reach cutscenes in the Ruin DLC I get crapped in the face. Why is Chica suddenly lying on the conveyor belt? Was she tired? Do I care? I fucking hate Helpy and I didn't trust him 1 second. The whole Glitchtrap thing was so uninteresting to me, I couldn't care less. So, should I jump to the real story in the DLC? Or should I talk about this bullshit slippery fuck level in Monty's Drex Arena? Wow, I can now fall to my death in the most frustrating way ever because I don't have enough patience to play the slog of a game carefully. I just wanna be done with, why can I teleport through magic doors? What is that mask? What is that place? What the fuck? Yeah, let's talk about Roxy. Roxy is my favorite animatronic and you are free to discuss why in the comments, but I'm deleting everyone who's right. When Roxy catches you after a section, she realizes who we are and lets go of us. She apologizes for getting physical with me and then gets an error. That's because animatronics are not allowed to hurt guests and Roxy has memories of Cassie. But what about Monty and Chica? Did they never see Cassie before? I thought animatronics would be connected to the visitor data because Cassie would certainly be in there. Gregory had no record, so it makes sense that he was attacked. But Cassie triggers only Roxy's good side? You are free to explain that one to me because I'm just curious and this part didn't affect me negatively in any way. Not like this part. What is that? How did Roxy get under the stacker? Was she tired like Chica earlier and was looking for a blanket? How did this happen? And the next part is such a low level emotional bait that it comes off as a parody. So Roxy is the last thing we need to deactivate because plot reasons and she's coincidentally trapped. Since Roxy now remembers Cassie, she's suddenly super nice, but you need to deactivate her. Oh, I'm struggling with myself. I hold her hand and listen to her retelling of my birthday. Oh, the nostalgia. Why can't she have no eyes at all like in the main game? That way I had no chance to deactivate her. But no, she has the socket goggles. Oh my heart! I raise my Phasmia in the ire and do the unavailable. I deactivate Roxy and watch her body tremble as she...
Sorry, I love carrot cake. Happy birthday, Cassie.
Roxy, I'm sorry.
dies. With one hand on her chest. I'm sorry, Roxy. I didn't want to do this. I feel so horrible. It should have been my hand. So the section is done and Cassie suddenly starts crying. It's been like 2 minutes, get over it, Jesus. The end of the game is near and suddenly...
No! No. Come on! Stupid flashlights!
Oh no! The thing I never used suddenly dies! Just like Roxy! Why are all my flashlights dying? So after the worst loop of easy and boring puzzles, I finally reach the end and find Gregory. Or am I? It was another animatronic all along and it copied Gregory's voice to lure you into the underground and escape. The monster attacks, but suddenly...
Cassie! Get out of here! Run!
Okay, what am I looking at? Why is Roxy back? Is it implied that Cassie didn't really deactivate her and only did it a little bit? The whole ending suddenly feels so cliché and wanna be emotional. Roxy comes back just to save me, and when I try to actually make use of that time, another fuck scene locks me into the place. Oh, hey Gregory! I'm being chased, but I can stay still for a moment to talk to you, because I obviously can't walk and talk with my walkie-talkie. I can just walk and cry. Anyway, the super long cutscene ultimately ends and I start running. The mimic, that's what the monster is called, I think, chases me and Gregory gives me directions. I end up in an elevator and seem to finally escape this hell. Gregory then kind of explains that he knew about something in the basement and the risk is too high that it could follow me. So he drops my elevator to kill the mimic as well as me. The end. Why the hell did I play this? The story was probably the biggest waste of time I've ever experienced. I go into the pizza place with a new character to save no one and die at the end? And don't try to argue with the after credit scene. Or should I say after credit word?
Cassie.
I accomplished nothing and had even less fun while doing it. Again, I was seriously looking forward to this and can't believe what I ended up playing. I can't even speedrun it because the cutscenes are unbearable to me. I will never ever touch this again and can't believe I didn't find an overly negative video about this before. This is my first English not Armored Core video and considering how much I love other games, I didn't think this would end up being a long rant about the Security Breach DLC. I still hope you enjoyed it. This is an entertainment video first and foremost and some kind of review or critic second. I'd really appreciate every new subscriber if you like this video, but do whatever you want. If you watched this until now, give yourself a pat on the shoulder. Love yourself, it's more important than you think. Anyway, that's it for the video guys. No idea if I ever cover FNAF again, but there are many other topics I look forward to talk about. I hope you're having a great day. I'm out for now. Shout out to Mero for subscribing.